When you're a map maker, and even more so when you're a dungeon master, you don't always have the time to build up your maps from scratch to a level of detail you're comfortable with. Making detailed maps is quite complex and time consuming, and time better spent on prepping sessions or building a world or on an entirely different hobby. But it doesn't have to be. With prefabs you can save yourself a ton of time when building your maps. Recently, quite a few asset creators have released prefab packs, and today I'd like to dive in one of them specifically. White Fox Works released a bunch of prefab packs that you can use to speed up your map making process, and if you're curious to see what White Fox Works has to offer and how you can use it for your maps, stick around to find out. Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Fake Fairy Tale and today we're doing a White Fox Works prefab review, and I would like to kick off with a small disclaimer. That's because I'd like to note that this video is not an advertisement for White Fox Works in any way. I did receive early access to the prefab packs that I'm going to show you guys in just a sec in order to record these videos, though the reason for recording the videos was mainly my own enthusiasm and not because White Fox Works asked me to do anything. I just approached her and Mulk to ask if I could see and work with the prefabs, and they said yes, which was very kind of them, and that's where this video comes from. Now, for those of you quickly who are unfamiliar with White Fox Works, this is her. She has created well over 20,000 assets, making White Fox Works one of the few standalone asset content creators that will give you more or less a full-fledged range of assets that you need and you can work with to create your maps. And you don't necessarily need packs from other creators to fill it up. She doesn't cover every area in detail, of course, but that's impossible. But 20,000 assets is huge, so that's a very big accomplishment. With every pack that she publishes, as you can see over here, I'll zoom in a little bit, there are over 100 free packs at the moment, and they're actually quite full of content. So even if you wouldn't want to spend anything, there's a lot of content in here that you could use, a lot of assets. But the real juice is mainly in the Patreon packs, of course, that are available for all her Patreons. And they include additional versions, different colors, more assets. And if you're a fan of the free packs, I guarantee you'll be happy as a patron as well. They're all accessible for €3.50 a month. At the lowest, you can support per creation from $3.50 all the way up to whatever you want, basically. And with the higher tier, you get the option to vote on monthly themes for assets as well, which I think is really neat. So if you want to check this out, I'll link to her Patreon page in the description of this video. So the reason I made this video is because she recently released these asset packs, which are the prefab packs, and the images alone already piqued my interest, so I decided to make a video about it. These packs are available for about €5 each. There's one more that's €6, which is a bit more expensive, and you can buy the entire pack for about €21 it is from Cartography Assets. They're also available on the Roll20 page, and I'll be sure to link to those both in the description of this video. And an important thing to do keep in mind is that you have the green and the blue ones, and the blue ones are for Dungeon Draft, and the green ones are separate assets. They're PNG files basically. So now the obvious question is, what do you get exactly? Because there's much more than these thumbnails show. So let's dive into Dungeon Draft and show you guys what it looks like. So here we are. On the left hand side you see all these White Fox Works Plus, which are basically the prefabs. You have some smaller sets, which are, for example, these baking goods or baking utensils that are just smaller sets of assets put together. And then further down you have the prefab packs, which are more elaborate in general and are themed towards a specific case. You have the boxes again, but you also have these tables and stalls, things for marketplaces and vendors, and you have a lot of different things that you can place down in here, well, to create anything you like in these specific areas. So right now it's mainly limited to taverns, offices. There are a few different things that you can do here as well. And you can use it as a supplement on your own prefabs if you have them. And these prefabs will be expanded upon in the future, but I don't know exactly when and how. It kind of depends on when Shia or Mook has time to do so. So let's check out what we have right here. I'm not going to go through everything, but I think it might be good to just show you guys a few of the coolest ones that I've seen in here. And then after that, I'm going to show you 2 examples where we're just going to populate a building with a few of these assets. We're going to make one tavern and inn, and the other one will be a library / office, something of that sort. So let's maybe recreate just a small marketplace here as well. We can just search for all the merchant and marketplace assets, and we can just pile a few things here and there. Let's add in a few crates behind the stall. That might be a little bit too big, but here we have a smaller set. And let's place down a few more of these stalls that we have a proper marketplace going on. You have these empty ones that you can stack with anything that you like from the prefabs or from her separate assets. And they have these cool little lids over them as well. Or what you call it. And let's place down one over here as well. And if you want to stack an empty one like this, we can just go to the alchemy ingredients, for example. And we can place a few of those in here. So that this could be, well, let's say a place that you can buy to craft potions or any other magical items if you need. Let's scroll a bit further down and let's take a few pots, maybe. Oh, we can just have one topple over on the side here. There we go, some acorns. Place something on the back. And then let's see if we can maybe make sure that that's a bit smaller. Place those 2 up front. And then I want a few barrels and crates that we can maybe place underneath. Maybe there's some liquids in there. They are underneath the table. There we are, which is all quite easy to do. And one of the most convenient things, of course, is that you can just take whole sets of assets and move them over, which can be a bit tricky if you place down all the assets yourself and you have to move them one by one or try to select all of them. I usually encounter an issue that I don't grab all the pathways, or it's a bit finicky in Dungeon Draft. So that I like a lot. It's a nice thing that you can do. Now, if we look into it some more, let's see, there are a few alchemy tables that I definitely want to show you guys. Also some dishes here. You have a lot of food things that you can add. White Fox Works actually has a very large collection of food assets anyway. So this is perfect for setting up tables for parties, dinner shows, homes, manors, and actually taverns as well. And that's going to save you a lot of time having to shade all these little details that nobody's going to pay that much attention to, but they do complement your map really well. So I always recommend placing things on tables, but it's not always the most fun thing to do. And it's also something I see a lot of people comment about that they struggle with. You have some bottles. Let's see where we have the alchemy tables, because those were really cool. There we are. It takes a little moment to get used to where everything is, but you have these entire setups of alchemy, which I think are just amazing. This is awesome to have. Yeah, this one's one of my favorites. This looks very cool. It's like some sort of mad doctor's home that you walk into, or a wizard that's experimenting with potion brewing, though you can associate it, I guess, with anything magically related. And these ones are very cool. There are many situations where I would have wished that something like that already existed, and I can imagine for those of you who intend to sell their maps, having the same table in there over and over is at some point, it might bore you, or that's not the kind of quality that you want to give out, because you want your maps to be unique, which is very understandable. However, if you're not going to sell your maps publicly, I think this works out well. Chances are that your players at the table won't even notice that you use the same table twice. They have so many things going on, of course. And even if you don't just want to create a few nice maps, which is how I started, you can just publish them online. And even if somebody noticed that it's the same setup you use, who cares? Everyone will understand that it's quite a lot of work to just have to do this all over again. So these are a bunch of the packs and assets that we have. I don't want to go over everything. That would be too much, because we need to go through thousands of them, which is a lot. But this gives you the gist of it, about the things that we can, that we can create from this. Now that I've given you a minor example, I'm going to open up the other map that I've already created, and then we're going to create ourselves a tavern and a library. Alright, and here we are. This is a small setup that I've done. Not everything in here is White Fox Works. I have to say the background, the tiles are from Forgotten Adventures and the pillars are as well. However, all the other things are made by White Fox Works as well. I wanted to try to keep that as much in her style as possible. And I would like to start with the tavern, because I know for a fact there are quite a bunch of cool tavern assets in there. So let's see what we can create just really quickly. One thing I would do like to notice before we start is that you have to turn off your shadows on the top over here, because if you keep those on, and let me see if I can quickly grab, for example, this shelf over here, and we'll zoom in a little bit, turn off the grid. If you keep on the shadows, you see you have this double shadow that you don't really need, because there's already a line of shadow placed around it. There are no directional shadows based on lighting, but for most of you that might not even be something you want anyway. And this works perfectly well as is. So let's zoom out again. We'll turn on the grid, and I'm just gonna start with placing down a few things. I'm going to disregard the windows a little bit, might have to change them up, but let's see how far we can get. So we'll first place that one over there, and I want to make it a bit smaller, and we'll keep it in this one grid section. And then we need something else, maybe a cabinet that we can snap the grid off. I'll place in the corner over here. And let's see if we can find something with a bunch of plates or anything that we can use to stack. This works as well. We'll place that on the other side. Some pots for tea. And you can actually easily stack these one atop one another to create the idea that just shelves along the walls. And let's see, I noticed some of the assets that were including some plates and things as well. There we are. And we'll place that down on that side. And now I think we're going to need some tables. So we'll go to Tavern Table, and we have some very easy presets there as well. Let's see if we can... Are we going to use... I think I want a single chair in the corner. Yeah, we'll place this one over here for somebody who wants to dine alone. And maybe another... You can do it like... We don't want to have the same asset in that twice, because we have plenty to choose from. So let's place that down. And if you want to keep it really simple, this could be it. You could just leave it at this, and it would be more than sufficient for you or your players to play on this map. If you want to have a little tavern where you have an encounter. If you want to expand upon it, you can do so. Of course, you can add in all the separate assets, but you can also continue with a few more prefabs. For example, we can stack up some crates. Let's see, along the back here. And if we want to add in maybe a market stall somewhere. There we are. And maybe somebody has set up shop like right in front of here, like so. And then you can add in some street lighting, and you have a quaint little tavern in a small town. Now this is of course a single room tavern, so that wouldn't entirely work, but you get the point. Now, also if you want to rearrange things again, that's quite easy. You can just move them over, and you don't have to go about selecting all the assets individually, accidentally selecting the floor, dragging that out, all those minor inconveniences. So with this one done, let's quickly redo the whole thing, but then with a library. All right, and let's see. We can go to the objects again. We'll move all the way down, and then a bit further down, I believe we have the offices and library. And I think we could get all set up with only this one. So let's see what we have here. These are some kind of desks more. I think they wouldn't work for the library. But this very well could. So let's place that one in a corner. Turn off the shadows again. We're going to need a chair as well. And I want some bookcases and some planks. I can place these in front of the window. And then we need some of the larger bookcases. This one we can... Oh, we'll put it over there. So we got all the walls covered, and then maybe a larger one in the middle. Yeah, like so. And we'll maybe add in a chair or something in here. There we are. And some kind of... oh, yeah, great. Awesome. I actually didn't know this was here. So we can add in a place for people to sit and to read. Maybe do some research if they like. And we can do that again. All the way at the top over there. And then we'll add in one separate chair. I like this one. For this one, there are not shadows added in, so let's place that down. Turn off the grid again, and there we are. We have a small library. And you can say what you want, but you're not going to be able to do it this fast if you have to place down all the separate assets and make it look so natural. Which I think gives an excellent example of what you can do with these assets. The only thing that you do have to keep in mind is that you don't place all the assets on the same layer like I did right now, which wouldn't be smart to do. But you'll have these shadows on the edge overlap with the cabinet and with the shelves. So you want to make sure that these are at the back and that you have these shadows going underneath. And if you'd want to enhance this map, you could use some lighting, some directional lighting and some shadows that you can add on there. And you can add that onto the prefabs as well. And then you'd be all set. So that is it for White Fox Works prefabs. I would like to dive into some of the Forgotten Adventures packs as well in a future video, so keep an eye out for that. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like, favorite and subscribe button. It really helps me motivate myself to keep going making these videos, and then I know that you guys enjoy the content that I make. And you do me a huge favor to help the algorithm find me and recommend me to other people as well. And if you want to go even a step further than that, I do have a Patreon page where I have some different versions of maps that I've created in the past, which you can get access to as a reward alongside with some tokens, character tokens that a friend of mine made as a thank you for your support. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'd like to thank you guys for watching again, and I hope to see you again in the next video.